Group. We are joined tonight from the Lansdowne Park Conservancy by John Martin. Good evening to you.
G'day, Mark. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Now, I think a lot of people are hearing about the Lansdowne Park Conservancy. They know that you are opposed to the city's proposed redevelopment of Lansdowne Park in partnership with Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group, but they don't know a lot about the Conservancy and they don't know a lot about you. So can you give us a little bit of background on who you are, who the Conservancy is, and why you're involved in this issue?
I'm a local businessman, an IT consultant, but I have worked in tourism. I've been exposed to architecture all my life. Dad's a relatively proficient architect, now retired, done some major projects. So it's sort of, I've been sensitized to it from a very young age. Entrepreneurial, although this is not entrepreneurial, this is effectively an idea to come up to offer a proposal, rather than just oppose what was going on. You only go so far. You have to come up with an alternative idea. So that's what was done. I went out and found out that cultural economics works, where you don't have to sacrifice heritage and public spaces to have viability, and in this case, to meet all policy requirements for the City of Ottawa. It's very straightforward. They want a stadium, a green space, a retail model, and a management model. So, set out to find development firms and architectural firms that were sensitive to the type of approach that I saw would work at Lansdowne Park. We've got working models in Granville Island in Vancouver. Fantastic. No shopping centers, no towers, no private ownership. It promotes local business, not chains. Keeps the profits in the area. Local farmers, not imported produce. Support our agricultural economy. Keep the profits here in the region. Arts and culture. All of these things are legitimate and viable opportunities to develop the park, but not on a for-profit basis. We're proposing a non-profit incorporation. And the history of the park from 1888 to 1973 demonstrated under the Central Canada Exhibition Association, which was a non-profit association, that the park was maintained, that the city received annual dividends, and the city received taxation from modest amounts of commerce that were on the site. And 8 of 9 Grey Cups by the Ottawa football team have been won at Lansdowne Park during non-profit management.
You are proposing an alternative solution for Lansdowne Park, then, that you'd like to see the city take. You'd like to see the city take that route instead of the route they're taking now.
Not exactly.
Okay.
Ours is a proposal. We're not saying switch. What we're asking for is we demonstrate that competitive bidding works.
Right. But in the end,
we're saying,
you're asking for a competitive bid process.
That's what we're asking for. We're not saying take ours. We're saying we want to bid. During
the competitive bidding process, you'll be making the argument that yours is the best proposal. That's what everybody does.
As all competitors would do.
Yeah, that's what everybody does. So do you have the resources to pull off what you're proposing you would do with Lansdowne Park?
Absolutely. One of the misconceptions is that somehow developers are paying for the development at Lansdowne Park under the OSEG bid. Nothing could be further from the truth. Taxpayers are being footed the bill with $179 million. Okay, financed, that's $433. In addition to that, taxpayers are responsible for all maintenance on half the park. Well, that's another $125 million over the course of the term. Now, they've admitted that the maximum cash in the so-called waterfall scheme is about $140 million over 40 years. And even that's not guaranteed because the contract's only for 30, so it even shrinks more. What we're saying is that there's over $300 million in taxpayers' money required under the developer's proposal. What we're saying is the city doesn't need to take out any loans. You don't need to risk any taxpayers' money. We are eligible, our proposal would be eligible for 100% financing from Infrastructure Ontario. It's not a grant. They're a financing agency, AA rated, an agency of the province of Ontario that supports nonprofit and corporations that promote sports and recreation. That's like one of the principal tenets of our proposal.
Are you going the route of a legal challenge to stop the city from proceeding with Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group?
It's a request for judicial review. And
how's that different from, say, what Friends of Lansdowne did?
Same.
It's the same as what Friends of Lansdowne did?
Same legal structure. Judicial review is a legal structure. Different standing. What came before the court before was a request to, go with a plan versus go with an unknown of a competitive process. For whatever reason, and that's being appealed, the judge decided that the city was well within its limit to do what it wanted to do. We, however, are bringing an application on the basis of we've been prevented from participating in the bidding process. Our standing is a public interest litigation with substantial public support because we demonstrate that competitive bidding not only is required, but now you have at least one alternative. And that's what competitive bidding does. It brings in, but we don't, the last thing that I want to do is, spend a lot of effort to pursue this. And we've made it very clear to the city. The city can avoid all litigation. Quite simply, nip it in the bud, take charge. If the current proposal is so fantastic, it'll withstand a 90-day competitive process. Look, they've been at this almost 4 years. They're now in their third architectural team. They're talking about starting in June 2012. We're like, guys, if we want to be ready for FIFA 2014, we need to start in January. A 90-day process will be completed before the new year, will legitimize any winner, will guarantee best price and best value for the taxpayer, and render all litigation unnecessary. It's a very, very simple way to unite our city. Let's just get an RFP out there and let the chips fall where they may. There is no argument once a competitive process has taken place. That would actually remove all litigation and bring our city together.
But aren't you making the same argument that Friends of Lansdowne made, that the city should have opened this up to a bid, and the judge actually concluded that no, it was within their rights to go ahead and do what they did?
Well, there's certain differences. For example, we have been denied the legal opportunities within the bidding process. Unsolicited proposals must go through what's called an RFP. The challenge before the court on the FOL challenge couldn't say, we've got a proposal that's denied the opportunity to bid. We were denied the opportunity to bid. That's our standing.
You say there's substantial public support for what you're doing. How do you know that? How do you measure that?
Thousands of emails, online petition. People can go to our website and again, we're not asking for endorsement for our proposal. We're saying our petition is asking the city to have an open competitive process. And so the signatures are increasing on that. So we get public support, people help us with paying the bills. This is privately funded. We have in our articles of incorporation no monetary benefit for any of the members of the Conservancy proposal. This is our gift to our city. We make our living here. We live here. We want to help our city look at other opportunities. And an RFP does that. It provides councillors with more information.
Who is funding the Lansdowne Park Conservancy?
Private pockets, supporters, myself, other people who have helped out wherever they can. We have no unions supporting us. We have no developers supporting us. All support is from strictly individuals. We would actually not accept any corporate sponsorship. That's not what this is about.
Will you name at some point all the people who are behind this?
If you take a look at our website, we list anybody who wishes to have their name listed. Names like Flora MacDonald, Ed Broadbent, Monsieur Paul Lapointe, former ambassador for Canada, Dr. Alvin Cameron, the grandson of Moses Eady, the designer of the architect of the Aberdeen Pavilion. Anybody who wishes to have their name listed as a supporter is on our website.
But when you say there's substantial public support, where do you think the community stands on Lansdowne Park? There are opinion polls that have shown, and certainly the way City Council is voting would suggest that the public wants to see the current proposal go ahead.
That's the mandate, that they want to see Lansdowne Park developed. That's the mandate, to see Lansdowne Park developed. You can't say that that mandate now extends to a sole source bid. If you've presented only one option to the public, saying take this or nothing, well, what kind of endorsement is that? Unless you actually have more than one proposal to choose from, you can't say that there's endorsement. Everybody wants Lansdowne developed, including myself. But do it through a competitive process. If you want to confirm that you actually have a mandate on a specific project, the city's known about our proposal for well over a year. Our initial bid was submitted before the June 28th vote in 2010. I've been talking to the city since 2009. So the fact that people don't hear about it is because the city has only decided to go one direction. If the public has an opportunity to choose, then we'll know what the mandate is.
Some people would argue, though, that perhaps you came to the table a little bit too late. The city was already well down the road with the Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group. You didn't come to them early in the process. It was fairly last minute. That argument has been made. What is your response to that?
We've been around since 2009, right? Our proposal was submitted in June 2010. They said, well, it's too late. We're now, what, a year and a half later? How can it be too late if now the current sole source developer has fired their second architectural firm and moved on to their third? They're not ready. Now they're saying they're not going to be ready till June 2012.
Well,
RFPs take 90 days.
Isn't the reason they're not going to be ready until June 2012 because there are all these legal challenges?
How does a legal challenge force a development firm to fire their two architectural teams? I don't follow that. That's an internal development decision. All we're saying is have a 90-day process. That solves it. It forces them to up their game, and let's get a decision.
But what's the relevance of decisions they might be making about who they're working with?
It means they're not ready. It means if they've got an elephant that they're trying to fit into a very small room. I don't care how many stripes you put on that elephant, you can't move it. That development is too large for the space. What we're saying is, in our proposal, scale it down. You don't put towers 3 kilometers away from rapid transit. You don't put 500,000 square feet 3 kilometers away from rapid transit on a site that virtually has one road access. NCC is going to be very upset to have great amounts of throughput down at Queen Elizabeth Drive. Holmwood is being proposed to be stopped. Now you've got a bridge over a canal on Bank Street. Well, if anybody's come up Bank Street in the morning with no development and no activity at Lansdowne Park, they know the traffic nightmare that it is. Now, imagine adding 500,000 square feet. So what we're saying is we're not anti-development at all, but let's do it intelligently. The two main terms are cultural economics and transit-oriented development. Take that 500,000 square feet and put it at the rapid transit stations. If we're spending $2 billion in LRT, put your towers where people don't need cars. And you increase ridership to help pay for that multi-billion-dollar investment. Use cultural economics at the park.
What does that mean, cultural economics?
People make the place, not buildings. If you go down to the farmer's market on any Sunday at Lansdowne Park, it's in a parking lot. It's vibrant. There are people showing up, and we're promoting local businesses and local agriculture. It's a gas. People love coming down there. They get to meet the local producers. They learn about the various products that are from our area. Let's promote that type of environment at Lansdowne Park. That's cultural economics in full gear. Bring in a concert shell. Have the NEC players come down on Sunday nights in the summer. Think about it, it's beautiful classical music. Instead of having Jazz Fest in front of Ottawa City Hall, which no one is too crazy about, Have Jazz Fest on a lawn in front of a concert shell.
Some of those things, though, are things that the Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group are talking about, having live entertainment there, having events going on there. So that's not dramatically
It's a different atmosphere. What they're talking about for the farmers market, for example, is taking it from 2 acres, which it currently is, and squeezing it down to a half an acre, right, a quarter of the size. Then they're going to put 2 roads around it. So you're not going to have that ease of access that's there. Now you're going to put in, what, a 5-story 10-plex movie theater with no surface parking? You and I both know a 10-plex movie theater, South Keys, Terry Fox, right, Silver City. What's the common denominator? Major arterial roads and massive amounts of surface parking. So you're going to try and, what, put a 10-plex down at Lansdowne Park? No major arteries, no surface parking. How does that relate to trying to promote a bucolic and locally flavorful environment? It doesn't. How does that attract tourism? It doesn't. Having our horticulture building moved 110 meters at great risk that the whole thing is going to get destroyed like what happened with the Daly building. We're saying leave it, renovate it. Conroy Sullivan, the architect of the horticulture building, that was built in 2014, the same summer that the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry was formed at the park. They had the flag ceremony by Princess Patricia herself. Conroy Sullivan, a student of Moses Eady, designer of Aberdeen. Conroy Sullivan, only Canadian student to study under Frank Lloyd Wright. The centenary is coming up in 2014. Let's not risk destroying that building. This is our heritage. Conroy Sullivan's a Kingston lad. Let's promote our area. Let's promote local business.
So what would Lansdowne Park look like in your scenario, and what would it cost the city?
It will be open. It will be easily accessible. It will have strategic perimeter surface parking. It will have local small business. You'll have buskers. You'll have music. It's kind of like if you've been to an expo, right? That's the atmosphere and flavor we're looking for, where you have a variety of events where the site is properly scaled. And a world-class stadium, our design firm, Philadelphia Eagles, Cincinnati Bengals. They've also done hockey arenas, LA Kings, Blue Jackets. All right, they've also done soccer. They've actually, Columbus and the Philadelphia Union as well. They've also, 2 of their stadiums were used for the Women's World Cup. So here you have a firm that's coming in who actually has the necessary experience for a very complicated structure at Frank Clair that incorporates pro soccer, pro football, and hockey.
Well, who's going to pay for the stadium in your scenario?
Pardon me?
Who's going to pay for the stadium in your scenario?
All of this is funded under Infrastructure Ontario. This site has more than enough money by keeping retail to 110,000 square feet. There's fantastic opportunities with the soccer bubble. The OSEG plan wants to relocate 9,000 soccer players out of the site. Our financials are supported and using the same numbers as the city has. There are certain fixed costs for the stadium confirmed by PricewaterhouseCoopers. Our financials have been viewed by Infrastructure Ontario. They
Well,
like
what does
our
that
numbers.
mean when you say Infrastructure Ontario is going to pay for it? They're going to pay
They
for the
don't
whole
pay
shop?
for it. They don't pay for it. They finance it.
Okay, so who pays for it?
The site does. There's an annual surplus at the site under our financials.
Okay, coming from the rents being paid by the users?
From the rents, from the Aberdeen Pavilion rentals, from the lease from the teams, from the lease from the concert shell. We're adding an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We're talking with Swimming Ontario. We're talking with Synchronized Swimming Ontario. Talking with Water Polo Ontario. Having the place, the farmers market, does fantastically well. Okay, we've got 30,000 square feet in the lower levels of the north stands. The art gallery needs 30,000 square feet of exhibition space.
So how much in profits will the site produce every year to go towards paying down the debt of the actual construction cost?
For the first, it's a 25-year loan, right? But at interest rates of under 4% at the moment. Our construction is 1.55%. So for construction will be roughly 30 months, right? 1.55% is the financing cost in that you only have to cover interest. But you capitalize that back into the overall loan. all cash flow is taken care of by Infrastructure Ontario. That's what we're proposing.
Right.
It's zero cost, zero risk to the Ottawa taxpayer.
So including the stadium.
Including the stadium.
So how much profit will the site produce every year that will allow you to pay down that debt?
The surplus, well, profit is after you've paid down the debt, right?
Right.
You have
Well,
annual expenses.
Let's call it the proceeds then. The proceeds that
Yeah.
the site will produce that will
Roughly-
go towards paying down the debt.
Yeah, roughly the site for the first 25 years is about 9.5 million annual costs. Okay, first year is $10 million in revenues. So from year one, you're running a $500,000 surplus. That's after all loan repayments and all expenses. From there, it builds marginally. Your growth is about 2.5% on revenues and about 2.5% on expenses.
But you're
At
saying
year 25, though, at year 25, that chunk of $7 million of loan repayments drops to zero.
Okay, but you're saying that it's producing $500,000 after loan repayments. What portion of that is loan repayments?
So I said about $7 million a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll produce $7 million of a year that you can put towards the loan.
It's going to produce over $10 million a year.
Right.
Because you still have to not only take care of loan, you have to take care of site expenses as well.
Right. But $7 million is going to the loan. That's the question I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay. We're short on time, but John Martin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. And if people would like to have a look, just go to www, or even easier, Google Lansdowne Park Conservancy. Come up #1. Sign our petition, open competition. That's what we're asking for.
All right. John Martin from the Lansdowne Park Conservancy.